We just returned from Humboldt last night, and while I was there, I had the chance to speak with a lot of people that have deep connections to this team, the Broncos, including the president of the organization, Kevin Garinger. I spoke with him shortly after learning about this tragic mix-up that had been made with the deceased, and also about how this team is going to move forward.
It is tragic news. Do you know Parker Tobin or Parker's family? Can you tell us about him?
He's just like the rest of the kids. He's an amazing young man. You know, we had two incredible goaltenders, and they had an incredible work ethic. They loved being part of that team. They loved the organization, and right now we're obviously extremely heartbroken for the Tobin family, but also at the same time we're also happy for the LaBelle family.
This adds an extra layer on top of a day that was already going to be so difficult. How are you doing this day?
Oh, everyone continues to grieve. You know, I think we're still probably in shock. You know, the vigil was important. It's a time when we can come together and lean on one another and gain some strength from others. And ultimately today, we need to continue that for everyone's sake. We need to continue to provide the supports and the reach out and communicate and lean on each other and work through this terrible ordeal.
You mentioned on the weekend that there are plans to rebuild the Broncos for next season. How do you start that process? Where do you begin?
To be honest, I don't know. I can tell you that I know that our coaching staff and our kids and our families, they would want that, and I had conversation with some parents, and they expressed that deeply, and of course our community needs that. There's been a long history, as you're very well aware, in this community around hockey, and so we will do whatever we need to do to work through that process. Obviously that's not going to be something we're going to think deeply about in the next couple of days or anything like that. That's going to be down the road, but we have prepared for the draft that's coming up in a couple of weeks here. We're prepared to address that. Some of those little things that need to happen, we've done. We will be canceling our spring camp. That work is being done, and so in the short term, we're taking care of those items, and then we'll look toward our future and get some help around what is exactly needed.
Sheldon Kennedy mentioned that when the Swift Current Broncos needed to rebuild, they had offers come in from other teams. Have you had offers come in from other coaches, other players saying we want to be part of the new rebuild?
Not part of the new rebuild. Nobody's talking about that. They're talking about supporting, and I mean every organization across our province and through the SJHL, and then I can't even begin to tell you the emails and the messages and those kinds of things that are coming from hockey organizations, sporting organizations, the NHL, NBA, you know, I don't want to miss anyone.
That's okay.
But all these professional organizations, as well as all these amateur organizations, minor hockey leagues, from BC to New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, like it's unbelievable, the support. And so, but it's directed toward what we are focused on, and that is our families and our kids, and just reaching out to say, you know, our thoughts and our prayers are with you, and that's all we can ask for. I mean, people need, you know, they feel like they need to reach out, and we're grateful that they do.
Well, I want to thank you for allowing the rest of Canada, programs like ourselves, to come in and to be part of what's happening here and part of the support as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Kevin was explaining that, you know, the Broncos were in the midst of their playoffs, right? They were trailing 3-1 to the Hawks. And when you talk to coaches of other teams, this idea of when do we pick up the season? So the SJHL still has not released when they're going to put the season back. Part of the concern and part of the conversations that they're having with players and with other coaches is, you know, we've got funerals that are happening. Yeah. And if you start the playoffs, the players are saying to them, I want to be able to attend the funerals. I don't want to have to choose between a game night or a funeral. So that's all part of what they are considering. You know, the spring training that he mentioned was supposed to have happened April 20th, and obviously that's been canceled. Part of the reason they want to get these boys back on the ice to finish off this season is psychological and emotional for them to get back into their routine. Yeah. But there's a lot of barriers for them to face, right? They're all going to have to get back on a bus. They're all going to have to travel to the next game. So these are all parts of the conversations. But, you know, we did point out, Lindsey, you had this today in news that the SJHL has implemented this player program for support, for mental support.
So important.
Really and truly. And I think that that is maybe their first step before they decide to announce whether or not to continue on with the season. But, you know, everybody we spoke to there says they want the season to continue for the sake of the kids. All right. We also want to thank Kevin Garinger for his time and for everybody in Humboldt. They were so generous to us. They shared their stories. We want to thank them again.